What's up YouTube, Zero here, and today I have an amazing Blastoise EX deck in Pokemon TCG Pocket. In this video, I'll go over the deck build, all of the cards in the deck, how they play well with each other and how good they are individually, and I'll talk about why this deck really works. Before I get into it, I do want to say if you do enjoy this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more Pokemon TCG content. I do a bunch of other video games, so feel free to check those out as well. Without further ado, let's talk about this Blastoise EX deck, and that's what it is. This deck relies on Blastoise EX. Now, before I really get into it, I do want to say that I made this deck before the Celestial Guardians packs released. So those pack releases could affect this deck. This was made before then, but it is still a phenomenal deck, especially if you are a Blastoise fan. I love Blastoise. Squirtle was the first starter I ever had playing Pokemon, so of course I had to do a Blastoise deck. I love Blastoise, and I wanted to really get a deck that shined with Blastoise, and this deck is it. It lives and dies by Blastoise. You can see the deck, the pack, the cards on the left-hand side of the screen. This deck lives and dies by Blastoise. So let's talk about the cards in this deck. Of course, we need the Blastoise line: Squirtle, Wartortle, and Blastoise. Now, these three cards are going to be found in the genetic Apex Pikachu. Believe it or not, as I was unlocking my Celestial Guardians packs, I did unlock a shiny Blastoise. So it seems like you can get a Blastoise from these new packs as well, a Blastoise EX. But if you want where these cards originally came from, you can find them in genetic Apex Pikachu. But I did unlock a shiny Blastoise from one of the Celestial Guardians packs. I don't remember if it was Lunala or the other one, but I did get a shiny Blastoise. But the original packs where you can unlock these three are the genetic Apex Pikachu. And I really want to focus on Blastoise and why Blastoise EX is extremely powerful. So it does have two moves. Surf for 2 energy, 1 water, 1 colorless is going to deal 40 damage. So that's not awful. If you want to get your Blastoise going pretty quick after you evolve a couple of times, you can do Surf for 40 damage. Hydro Bazooka is where Blastoise is really going to shine. Now this is 3 energy, 2 water, 1 colorless for 100 damage. However, if this Pokemon, Blastoise EX, has at least 2 extra water energy attached, this attack does 60 more damage. So for 4 water energy and 1 colorless energy, Hydro Bazooka can do 160 damage. That is absolutely insane, and before any Pokemon tools attached, that can KO the majority of Pokemon in the game right now. So that's pretty awesome to be able to do that. And that's one of the reasons why this deck works really well. Because once you get your Blastoise going, the enemy needs to be fearful. If you have 5 water energy on your Blastoise EX, your enemy is going to have an extremely difficult time defeating you at that point, because you're going to be dealing 160 damage per attack. You don't lose any energy utilizing Hydro Bazooka. So that's going to be extremely critical. Once you get your Blastoise going, the opponent is going to have a hard time stopping you. But again, you live and die by Blastoise with this deck. It's either you get your Blastoise going or you don't. So this deck really does work. It's amazing once you get your Blastoise going, and if you love Blastoise as much as I do, it's a really great deck. But sometimes it does take a little while to get your Blastoise going, and that's why I pair it with Manaphy. So for those of you who don't know, Manaphy for 1 water energy has Oceanic Gift. Choose 2 of your benched Pokemon. For each of those Pokemon, take a water energy from your energy zone and attach it to that Pokemon. So utilizing Manaphy to start can supercharge your Blastoise or whichever Blastoise evolutionary chain you have on the bench, so you can get to those 5 water energy a little bit quicker. So that's why it's important when you're utilizing this deck in the combination of Manaphy plus Blastoise EX, you get your Manaphy in that active slot as quickly as possible, and you just keep getting those water energies to attach to your Squirtle, Wartortle, and then Blastoise. Because again, like I said, once you get your Blastoise online, the enemy is going to have a lot of difficulty dealing with you. So let's talk about the rest of the deck. Pokeball and Professor's Research are fairly obvious, and I do want to say Manaphy is from the Space Time Smackdown Palkia packs, so look out for that in the Space Time Palkia packs. Pokeball and Professor's Research are obvious cards. They just help you get through your deck quicker. Pokeball allows you to draw basic Pokemon. Professor's Research, you get to draw 2 cards. So you can get to Pokemon in your deck quicker. And again, really what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the evolutionary chain of Blastoise out and into play as quickly as possible. And that's where Pokemon communication is also going to come into play. You choose a Pokemon in your hand and you switch it with a random Pokemon in your deck. So if you already have a Manaphy on the field, you already have a Squirtle on the playing field, or maybe even a Wartortle on the playing field, and you're trying to get that Blastoise, if you have an extra Manaphy in your hand, or you have an extra Squirtle or Wartortle that you do not need, you can utilize Pokemon Communication to try and pull that Blastoise. So Pokemon Communication is going to be critical in this deck. Pokemon Communication you can find from the Space Time Smackdown Dialga packs. Next, let's talk about the Rocky Helm. Rocky Helm is just going to increase survivability and do a little bit more damage with your Manaphy that's in that active slot, or maybe you want to put it on your Blastoise as well. Personally, I like to get at least one and put it on my Manaphy, because Manaphy is not dealing any damage. So when opponents are going to be attacking me, I like to just have Rocky Helm to deal a little bit extra damage, and you can find those from the Space Time Smackdown Palkia packs. Couple more cards in this deck that really make it work. First is going to be Irida, and this is from the Triumphant Light packs. For Irida, heal 40 damage from each of your Pokemon that has any water energy attached. So this is going to be crucial to, 1, keeping your Manaphy alive to allow the water energy to build up on your Blastoise EX. And also, once your Blastoise EX is finally active and in play, and maybe taking a little bit of damage, it can keep your Blastoise alive as well. Blastoise EX has 180 HP, which is amazing. Irida healing 40 damage is going to keep it alive even longer, which is going to be awesome, keeping it in play as long as possible because you're relying on your Blastoise. Now, I've tried a lot of different cards in this last slot. I've tried Sabrina, I've tried Cyrus, and I've tried Iono. I settled on Iono. The reason being is because Iono, each player shuffles the cards in their hand into their deck, then draws that many cards. I mentioned it earlier, this deck lives and dies by Blastoise. That's what we're looking at. We want to get Blastoise. So if you're starting to get down to the end of your deck, you haven't pulled a Blastoise yet, and you have an Iono in your hand, this may give you the luck you need to draw that Blastoise. That's why I like Iono. Sometimes cards can get buried at the bottom of decks, and if it's a card that you crucially need, you may need to shuffle your deck to get there. So Iono is going to be crucial for that. You're going to find Iono from Shining Revelry. However, of course, you can try Cyrus, you can try Sabrina. You have a little bit of wiggle room here. Cyrus is going to help you get to maybe some damaged Pokemon on the bench. Maybe you damaged them with Squirtle, or maybe they were damaged by your Rocky Helm. However, I found that Cyrus was the least useful. Again, because you're relying on getting your Blastoise, most likely. You have your Manaphy in that active slot. You're not dealing a ton of damage. So there aren't going to be many weakened Pokemon on your opponent's bench, so I don't really see a need for Cyrus here. Sabrina could be useful. It can either delay your opponent. perhaps your opponent has equipped a lot of energy on their active Pokemon, so you can force a Pokemon without any energy on the bench to the active slot, so your opponent is forced to either utilize energy to draw them back, or forced to utilize a card such as X-Speed or Leaf. So that can slow down your opponent a little bit while you're trying to build up your Blastoise, which is why I do like Sabrina in certain situations. However, I'm more focused on getting Blastoise out and ready to attack. So I'd rather have Iono. Instead of slowing down my opponent, I'd rather use Iono, shuffle the cards into my deck, so I have the potential to get the cards that I really need. So Iono works the best here. Let me know in the comments section which cards you would switch out to make this Blastoise deck even better, and which cards you'd like to switch in. I love this deck. I've won a lot with it. I love utilizing Blastoise. It's one of the OG starting Pokemon. So I love the fact that it can be utilized in a deck, especially in combination with Manaphy, where Blastoise EX can really shine and really be the star of the deck. It deals a lot of damage and can run through even some of the strongest Pokemon in the game with one hit as long as it's powered up. So I love Blastoise. Pokemon Communication, Professor's Research, Pokeball, Iono, a lot of the cards in this deck are really just there to get Blastoise out and to get Blastoise online. This is a Blastoise EX deck, and that's what it's here to be. It's not hiding what it is. It's saying, I have Blastoise. You can either beat me to the punch, or I'm going to beat you to the punch. And if I do, you're going to have to be fearful of my Hydro Bazooka. So let's talk anything Pokemon in the comments section. The new pack, Celestial Guardians, just dropped, and I'm loving some of the cards. I have a bunch of decks on the way based off of cards that I've just unlocked from those decks. So be on the lookout for those. I'm loving some of these new combinations that we as players have gotten thanks to these new packs. There are 200 cards or more in the combination of these two packs, which is absolutely awesome. A huge release for us Pokemon TCG players, which is awesome. Let's talk anything Pokemon in the comments section. Thank you for sticking around. Again, if you do enjoy this video, if you love Pokemon, if you love video games in general, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much in advance for doing so. It does really help out me and my channel. I appreciate y'all so much for doing that. Until next time, have a great rest of your day. Peace.